In this Getting Started movie, we're going to look at the basics of how to use the Search Swing Thing database application, which is what we're looking at here. Whenever you first open this, you'll always see this screen. This is just a reminder that this show, although we're making it available for the public to download, that this still belongs to my family, and I just like to make sure that people know that, even though the show should be around a lot longer than I will. So just be aware of it, and if you haven't read this before, then please do read it again, or read it for the first time, just so you know. So whenever it opens, it comes here. You can just click on this button that says click here, which will take you right to this help window, which has got access to this tutorial you're watching now, as well as some more advanced tutorials. Now, in most cases, if you're just an average user, you'll probably only need the Getting Started one. I've included these others because some people might be interested in knowing how to use some of the more advanced features that I built into this. One of them will have to do with doing advanced searches, and we'll look at that later on. There's also how to schedule these shows. Now, this tutorial is specifically for radio stations or internet radio stations nowadays that might be carrying the show. And because we have 1,000 shows in the database, I wanted to give radio stations a way to plan the scheduling of the shows and to make sure that none of the shows repeat too often. So that's what this tutorial is about. So in most cases, you can skip that, but if you are a radio station, you'll want to eventually get to this. I would still start at the beginning and just kind of work from left to right, top to bottom. Downloading shows is for those of you who have been given access to download the entire database, and so this tutorial down here will teach you all about that. So let's get started. Now, normally when this first opens, what you'll do is, if you've already watched the tutorials, you probably won't want to do it again. You're just going to want to get in there and look up shows and maybe even play them. So let me show you how that works. This tab up here that says shows, this is actually where you do all your normal work with the database. So if you ever need to get back to the help database, just click right here on help. So I'll just click on shows. Now, this is a smart search. What it does is it looks through the entire database and will find whatever you type in up here for you, and it will try and give it to you in a smart way. So let's look at some examples here. I'm going to click up in this area, and I'm just going to type in Miller, and then I'll just click this do this search button here. And once I've clicked that button, you'll see that it populates here on the left, and this list lists all the shows that have the word Miller in them. You'll notice here in the middle of the screen that the first show, which has been highlighted up here on top with a different color, shows how many places the word Miller was found in red. And you could count those all up, but basically there were a total of 15 hits. That's what we're seeing right here where I'm pointing under this little column that has these little red numbers. So basically what it's telling you is when you are looking for Miller, the show that mentions Miller more than anything else in the playlist would sort to the very top. It's got 15 hits. Now if we click on this next one here, which is the title of the show, by the way, is Glenn Miller, The Lost Recordings. And here it will tell you the theme, or if somebody is being interviewed, it'll have the word guest in it. By the way, interview shows also show up with a black dot. So if you're particularly looking for a show where there might be an interview, then look for the black dot. So let's go ahead and click on this Ray McKinley one instead. When I click on that, this updates here on the right, and it shows again all the places where Miller is shown. Now we can scroll down through this list even farther, and you'll notice that the red numbers keep getting smaller. So like here's a a show with Harry Warren. And here there's a couple of Miller tunes, so those are highlighted in red. So in most cases, that's the way that you would search the database, and you probably wouldn't need to go any farther. One other thing I want to show you about. If, let's say, I scroll down in this list, and then I click on Best of the Ballroom Bands. Now when I click on that, what's going to happen is that you may be confused because you may not see that highlighted here. Well, probably the reason for that is because you need to scroll back up a little bit until you find where that highlighted section is, and here it is. So if you click on something and you don't see it highlighted, just scroll up or down until you see it highlighted. So that's basically how we would do a search. Let's try another search here. I'm going to try one for green, Green, and then I'll click on do this search. And when I do, you'll see Johnny Green come up at the top, and you'll also see, let's see, what else do we have here where there might be some green. Yeah, see, in most of these shows, like this one's got 7 hits, this one's got 6, so it's still got a lot of Johnny Green mentioned in the playlist. But the the playlist, even though there aren't a lot of Johnny Green songs here, the theme of the show and the guest is Johnny Green, so it can sometimes be a little bit deceiving. But one of the ways that I created this database is that it will be preferential about the title of the show and the guest. So even if there's only a couple of hits down here, it'll try and put those up at the top when Johnny Green is in the title of the show or the guest of the show. So again, the number of hits will reflect, in most cases, the most likely thing that you would be looking for. Let's say that you've now found a show and you'd like to listen to the show. Now this isn't the same thing as downloading it, but you can listen to it directly from this database, and it does it by using the internet, which means that if you don't have an internet connection, this player window that you see up here with the Start the Show button I'm going to talk about will not work. So you have to be online for this to work. And the way that you can do this is once you've selected a show and you want to hear it, you just click up here on Start the Show.
We're in the composer's corner. Our special guest will be Johnny Green.
And you'll get to hear the entire show, all 48 minutes right there. Now, if you were to then continue to move around, let's say that I click down to destinations, but maybe I really wanted to listen to Johnny Green while I was searching through the database. But you'll notice that when I click down here on another show, that the player window reset itself. And that's because this is an internal player window that's right inside this big window here. And whenever you jump to a different one, it's going to reset so that you can play that show. But you do have other options. Maybe you want to listen to a show while you continue to search through the database and just spook around. So the way to do that is where it says play in this window only. Well, you can click on that and get some other options. Let's see what happens. I'm going to click on there. And as you can see, play in this window only is highlighted in blue. But then down here we've got some other choices. You can use one external window. Let's try that first. I'll click on that, and then I'll click on Start the Show. And I get a little error message here, but don't worry about that. In fact, I'll probably fix that before this goes out. So now we've got a little window that's separate. So this window is now a separate window. It tells you the title of the show and also the theme of the show underneath. And now you can continue to search around down here like that. Now because we have this set to one external window, if I now click on Start the Show, you can see that this changed to a different show. So it's still in a separate window, but it will play that show so you can continue to spook around while the show is still playing. Now sometimes what you want to do is use multiple windows, maybe because you want to compare two shows side by side. So you can choose again by clicking up here, use many external windows. And now when I click here, let's go down, let's see, well we're on Helen O'Connell, which is not the same thing as Gems of Jazz. So let's click there and see what happens. So now we've got two windows. We've got window 1 and window 2. So we can go back and forth between these two. I can click here and start this show, or I can click here and start that show. Just like that. And so that's how this works. You do have different ways that you can do it. So maybe you have several shows that you picked out in advance, and you can open them up in these little windows, and then you can play them in any order that you'd like. I'm going to go ahead and close these for now. So the remainder of this stuff down here where it says set play date and print show and print found, well, if you want to print out this playlist, you can do that. If you click print show, it only prints the one show that you've selected. When you print found, it'll print everything in this list of shows that were found. So let me go back up here and change this. Instead of searching for Green like we did before, I'm going to be more specific. I'm going to search for Johnny Green. Yeah, you can type more than one word up here. And what it'll do is it'll search on that and try and find wherever Johnny Green was found. So now it gives us a much smaller list, as you can see here. And you can click on these now and look at those. So now the found shows that we have, well, we've only got 4 of them here in this list. So if I wanted to, I could click print found, and it would actually print out the playlists for all 4 of those shows. Let me give you an example of how this works. Oh, by the way, I'm on a Macintosh. There's also a PC version of this database. So if you downloaded the PC version, it'll look a little bit different, but it'll behave the same. In any case, let's just come down here and click on print show and see what happens. So when I click there, it pops up a little window, and it's asking me to select a print format. Now here this is in blue and it's pulsating, which basically means that I could just hit the enter key on my keyboard. I don't even have to click here, because whenever you see a pulsating blue button, that means you could just click enter, and that would be the default action, in which case you would just print the playlist. If I click that, it's not the entire list of shows, but everything in the middle here. So now my print dialog is coming up, and I could just send this to my printer. I'm going to show you what this would look like by coming down and telling this. I can do this on a Mac. I don't think you can do it on a PC though. To open PDF in preview. Now when I do that, it will, instead of sending it to the printer, it will just open up the playlist so that we can look at it here. And you can see here that this would be what that looks like. And so we've got just the one show here, and if you were to print this out, this would go to your printer, and then you'd have the playlist in order. Now you can also look at the thumbnails here if you want on the side. So if there were multiple pages, this would be a way of getting through this. But the I have to tell you that on a PC that probably won't do this. This is a Macintosh feature, the ability to do a print preview like this, as far as I know. I'm just going to click cancel down here, or I could just click print and it would then send it to the printer. So if I click on print found alternately, this is where all of these would be found. So click on print found, and I can choose a list, or I can choose to view these in 3-up. In other words, these are different layouts. Now you can play around with these on your own if you want. I'll give you a quick demo just for the heck of it. Again, I'm just going to send this to the PDF preview. And so this is what you would get in that case. So here it's just giving you a quick list of everything that you found. It also tells you that you were looking for Johnny Green in that search, and the hits. So that would be just like the list that you see here with the hits and all that information. Let's look at some other options. I'm going to go print found again. I'm going to choose 3UPs. We'll see what that looks like in the PDF preview. So here again, now one page would have 3 shows. Again, it tells you you looked for Johnny Green and how many it found in each of the shows. And again, you can just look through these lists and you can print the entire set of pages all at once. We could also, of course, come up here and go to thumbnails if we want, so that you could just jump between them easily enough, just like that. So again, just click the print button and you'd be able to print those out. Now let's look at the other options for print one show. So this does a single show, the one that's selected, and this does everything that you found. Let's go over to print show, and let's see what a CD would look like. We'll click on that, and we'll go here. And what this would do is this would allow you to print out a CD insert. So you could print this out, and then you can just cut this little section out and insert it into the CD case, and then you'd be able to burn a CD of a show if you downloaded it, and then you could save it as a CD if you want. So that, of course, only applies to people who have the download authority to actually go in and download shows. You see the player window up here, just to be clear about it. I'm going to put this back in this window only. Here we go. The player window up here, it streams it from the internet, right? But if you were to download the shows, you could actually download them directly to your computer. So when we come back to the help section on downloading shows, we'll talk about that. So this getting started is probably all you really need. If you do want to know more about advanced searching or scheduling or downloading, just go ahead and click on these and you'll be able to watch a movie like this on that particular subject.